At Wellworking, we're everything about working well. We feel there's a really strong part of that well-being conversation that is around movement. So, delighted to have a fantastic panel here. So, Jørgen, if I hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, welcome. I'm very proud to host this event also. Let me start by asking, why should we care about movement in the workplace, Huw?
We're in the middle of an inactivity crisis in this country. Inactivity leads to 37,000 premature deaths. It costs the economy, our economy, an estimated £20 billion a year. This nation is twice as inactive as Germany and France. We have a 20% higher inactivity rate than the United States. And if you look at our society and look at the way we live from the youngest in society through to the workplace and through to older people, this workplace piece is equally important. And we have a toxicity in our workplace, which is now out of date in terms of how we need to live and how we need to operate in the workplace environment. And so the opportunity in the why is going to be, how do we rethink the workplace? How do we get people moving and develop movement back into what is effectively, for a lot of people, a sedentary environment for a lot of people? And so there's a really important opportunity to look not necessarily exclusively at the health and well-being of the workforce, but also look at the economic productivity associated with inactivity as well.
From my work with the government, I know that actually in their workplaces, that's critical for them as well, because they want to be seen as leading the way in terms of how they can make the civil service or all the different dependent groups much more productive as well. We've done some pilot schemes and of a big actual test of hub spaces. They are definitely seeing the loss of sick days go down dramatically from the year-on-year results. I remember the first use of it was around, I think, 60% less sick days. So it's just, and that's a direct impact of the workplace environment. They haven't changed the process, they haven't changed the people. It was the actual designed environment as well.
So what worries me is the fact that we worked with the DSE regs, which haven't changed really since 1992. They say you should have a break for 5 minutes every hour. That's not enough. We're sitting down more. And I do find that if people do take breaks, and they're straight on their phones as well, so you're not actually getting a break from technology, so you're not getting the kind of like mental release from that either. I think for us it's all about education and not about telling. It's about explaining to people why it's so good and encouraging. The education piece is why our working relationship with Luke's team at Wellworking is so important. I actually managed to get over that why and get people to understand why it's so important they move, and it's actually really, really well accepted from them. So that's how we're starting to introduce it. The next step is software to encourage people to take breaks.
We talk a lot about sit, stand, or even just standing. So does that mean we should just get rid of our chairs and is that the future?
Of course not. Research has shown that actually sitting is very important for us. It's one of the key things that you get relaxation during the day. Actually, I compare sitting to sunbathing. If you take sun, that's good for you. It's healthy. But if you take too much sun, it's bad. So it's the same with sitting. You should do that. And actually, the problem with sitting is not the sitting itself. It's the prolonged sitting without any break or movement. Because we're talking about movement as a concept of being very active, almost like exercising, whereas the movement that we need is actually below that. For instance, and that's also like you walk to your colleague, not emailing him, and that kind of movement, that's enough. You do not have to run to him. It's just like walk. Maybe it's even better, and it's safer. But also you can also look at products, for instance, that you can design movement into products.
Building trust is a massive challenge, and I just wondered how anyone on the panel could perhaps give me some tips as to how that's been achieved.
From the leadership point of view, top down, so sharing the space and being within the workers, that's obviously an easy win. Giving people the opportunity and choice control over their space, that's definitely helpful. The trust, we can start with technology as well, trusting people with different devices, etc. And then we found that in our workplace wellbeing research is that if you have engagement in the design process with users, they feel better about the whole experience. And it affects their mental well-being, as I was saying, to also their kind of design out with their actual working output.
This is high on the government's agenda. looking at the new industrial strategy, which has a big focus on this agenda. There is a recognition, especially in the 70th anniversary of the NHS, to think about what does the next 70 years look like, and actually getting that balance right between treatment and prevention is fundamental. And so the issue with workplace health, Department of Work and Pensions and across the other government departments are looking to bring in partners, are looking to bring in the private sector and to bring in organisations like in this room to have a voice at the table to say what are we going to change. Not going to change tomorrow, but in 5-10 years' time, can we get some of the cultural change required? And obviously you're seeing that from the other position parties as well. To having some, in an ideal world, you get some broad consensus around the future of one of our greatest assets in the NHS and what we can do to stop people using it at the rate they are. And this is right at the heart of this debate, the workplace health, going into an ageing society, slowing down the usage of people in the NHS and social care, which starts at this place.
For me, it's really, really important to encourage our staff to move more, not just for their well-being, but for their mental health as well. If we have happy staff that have good well-being, have good mental health, we'll actually have happy students, and the students' experience will actually get better because of that.